everyone. Welcome to This Day. It is Tuesday and it is December 7th. And we have a couple of meetings to tell you about today. We've got one at 9:30 this morning, and that is the GRF board meeting. That will be in the boardroom virtually as well as televised. And you can watch that right here on Village Television shortly following our morning broadcast of This Day. Then we have another meeting this afternoon, which is the third Finance Committee, and that will be in the boardroom as well as virtual. And you can follow along at lagunawoodsvillage.com/meetings. Now on our show today, we have Orange County Sheriff Don Barnes, who is here to give us a 2021 recap and also a 2022 projections of some things that he is looking forward to, as well as things that they're going to be focusing on for the new year. And then we have him the entire show, so stick around and we'll chat with Don Barnes. All right, let's take a look at our weather. We are looking at cool skies and cloudy skies. I had a little bit of a teaser rain this morning, but we aren't going to be getting too much of that. Maybe Thursday we're looking at a few showers, but nothing too tremendous. So 65, 52 today, 64, 55 tomorrow, 58, 47, so a bit cooler. Partly cloudy skies on Friday, 60, 42, and Saturday, 64, 49. Our sunrise this morning was at 6:42, and our sunset will be at 4:43. And Gina, thank you so much for sending in this gorgeous photo that you have taken right here in the village. It's just beautiful. So thank you for sending that in. And if you have a photo that you would like to share with our community, please email it to lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. All right, when we return, we will have Sheriff Don Barnes, so stick around.
For more than 30 years, Active Care has been providing the highest level of care to residents with Alzheimer's or other memory loss. We specialize in memory care. That's our sole focus. With 3 levels of care and an engaging activity program, Active Care enhances life for every resident every day. Our newest community, Active Care Laguna Hills, will open this fall. We're now accepting reservations. Call 949-877-8233 to learn more.
How is life feeling these days? Even if you're active, those little aches and pains can be exhausting. Now there's a new way to experience an ancient healing therapy right in the comfort of your home. Introducing the J&H Lifestyles Infrared Sauna, a beautifully crafted sauna with proven benefits of immune boosting, pain relief, and relaxation. And there are 1- and 2-person models to fit the tightest of spaces, bringing the warmth of infrared sauna therapy to you. Expert installation is available in your area. Just give us a call or visit our website today.
Primary care is our first interaction with the healthcare system, but most people don't visit their physicians due to long lines, waiting periods, and moving from lab to lab. At Cure Medical, we bring healthcare straight to your doorstep. Our modern, upscale mobile clinics provide services such as prevention and wellness plans, annual exams, lab work, blood tests, and more. Give us a call today to learn more and schedule your next appointment. Cure Medical, close to home, far from ordinary.
Welcome back. As I mentioned, we have Sheriff Don Barnes here with us today, and he's got a variety of initiatives that he'd like to talk to us about. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. I know you're very busy. It's been tough to get you in here, but all the same, we're at the end of the year, and I wanted to really just kind of recap what's happened and maybe some things that might be happening next year, maybe starting of the first of the year. So you have a variety of different initiatives that you guys have been focusing on.
Yes, there were 5 initiatives specifically that I undertook when I took office almost 3 years ago. And if not for COVID-19, many of those would be fully realized through that time. Probably the one that is the most significant for your audience and for the county and really the nation is what's happening with the drug trends that are pouring into this nation over the last several years, and specifically this year. So we've seen an uptake in narcotics trafficking go on for several years. The border issues, obviously lack of security at the border is causing significant challenges in keeping narcotics out of the country. And probably the drug that frightens me the most is fentanyl. And I spoke about this on your program before, and I've been really taking this initiative on to hold drug traffickers accountable for fentanyl trafficking since really about 2016. And we've had several initiatives that we've undertook as a department, really kind of getting out ahead of the fentanyl trend and craze. Going back to 15 was the first time we saw our crime lab, by the way, internationally accredited crime lab, was the first crime lab west of the Mississippi to recognize fentanyl as a narcotic substance. And from that, it's just now skyrocketed. It was really a trend that we predicted would occur and has continued to occur since then. We sponsored for 5 years in a row legislation to be carried by Senator Pat Bates and frequently also by Pat Bates and Assemblywoman Cotty Petra-Norris to hold drug traffickers who are trafficking pure fentanyl accountable at the same standards that trafficking heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine are held to, but that has not made it out of committee, which is really a travesty. And what we've seen over the last 5 years, not only the significant increase in deaths related to fentanyl, but also the quantity of pure fentanyl being trafficked from south of the border, which is really frightening. Just the Sheriff's Department alone, and we have 6 different narcotics initiatives, plus an education program on top of that within the Sheriff's Department. And just the Sheriff's Department, we have seized 388 pounds of pure fentanyl. That's equivalent to 88 million doses of fentanyl. Several things are occurring that your viewers may not be aware of, and I'd ask them to please share this information with your children or grandchildren because it is that significant. Fentanyl being trafficked now is not being sold as fentanyl. It's being clandestine produced into pharmaceutical drugs to make it look like it's other narcotics like OxyContin, oxycodone, Xanax, and other prescription medications, and sold as those prescriptions, although there's no pharmaceutical quality to those prescriptions. They are just fentanyl. They're being clandestine, illicitly produced. So our young adults and children are taking these, thinking they're taking a prescription drug or maybe testing or trying drugs for the first time, and they're consuming fentanyl. In some cases, it's just killing them outright, or it's addicting them to opioids, which then brings them back as a future customer for the cartels. So that's really that market plan that they have. In 2016, we started a naloxone program. That's a narcotic antagonist, which is like Narcan. And all of our deputies in the Sheriff's Department carry that in their car. All of our deputies in the jails carry it because we have drug trafficking issues into our jails by criminal enterprise as well. And also our crime lab and our coroner's office also carries it with them as they're investigating these crimes. And we've had hundreds of saves of lives bringing people back from fentanyl or opiate overdose. The overdose numbers, though, are skyrocketing. Just in that 5-year period that I was talking about, just in Orange County, it's over an 1,100% increase in fentanyl-related deaths. This year, we're probably going to double from last year. We're already over 300, and we have over 300 cases pending toxicology, which have a high probability of coming back to some other factor causing their death, such as fentanyl or opioids. And in the state, it's up 1,600%.
Yeah, it is out of control, like you said. Now, one thing I wanted to go back to talk about is where you said these are being disguised as other types of drugs. So drugs being prescription drugs. Where would someone get something like that? I mean, this is black market type stuff, or could you get it from a pharmacy? You can't, right? You
can't buy it from a pharmacy. It's not being sold to pharmacies and then being prescribed.
Okay.
It's on the black market. It's either you can acquire it through known as the dark web, layered encrypted websites where you can get into it and purchase it and have it just sent to you. A lot of our young adults and teens are buying it through social media platforms, and we call it Drug Hub. It's like having it delivered to your house and consuming it there. Unfortunately, those families that are losing young adults and teens, more often than not, they find their child deceased in their bedroom the morning after, not knowing that they had consumed one of these illicitly produced narcotics.
Right, and I remember the last time that we talked about this. This is a highly, not so much addictive, but a high dose. Well, let me rephrase that. You can have a small amount of fentanyl, but it's lethal. Correct?
Yes. So what I tell people generally is it's 50 times more potent than morphine, and there's a new variant coming online now that we're seeing called carfentanil. Carfentanil is 100 times more potent than fentanyl, which is 50 times more potent than morphine. So it's just very, very toxic. To put this in perspective for those who may be viewing, if you took a sugar packet, which is a gram, and dumped it out on the counter, that's 500 potential lethal doses of fentanyl.
Jeez.
Just 2 granules of that is enough to potentially kill somebody.
So is it money that is driving this? Because think about it. I mean, it from my perspective is that if you are selling something that is so lethal, it's just killing people. I mean, it's not like they're coming back for more and more. So
Sure.
what's driving that?
Well, it's both. There's an economy within the narcotics trade. There's supply and demand. As long as there is a demand for narcotics north of the border, which is why we're so heavily focused in our jails on getting people into sobriety, because if we can lock them out of our jails into sobriety, then their chance of relapsing and returning to jail is significantly reduced. I'll cover that topic just in a moment.
Okay.
So it is exactly that. There's an economy that drives it. Fentanyl is cheaper to produce than heroin is to produce. It's easier to traffic as 1 kilo is equivalent to 50 kilos of heroin, and the penalties are less in the state of California for trafficking pure fentanyl. So we're actually incentivizing the drug trafficking organizations or the cartels to traffic pure fentanyl because the risk is much greater and the profit is much more. The addictive qualities in fentanyl is really where the hook is. So getting people addicted to come back as future customers is worth the risk of those few people or those people who may die on it. They're really trying to build their customer base. So much so that we're seeing marijuana-laced fentanyl now on the market. Marijuana that's laced with fentanyl to get people addicted to the chemical substance and move on to more addictive narcotics.
Oh, that is frightening. It really is, because we don't know what we're getting. But it's better to go to a pharmacy or a trusted doctor of some sort rather than going off the market or taking it from someone else, for sure.
Sure. There's those legitimate narcotics such as oxycodone, OxyContin. They do have an addictive quality to them, but they are now being very much more controlled than they were in years past. And through a doctor, through legitimate pain management is an appropriate use. But pain management means when you're having extreme pain. Me personally, I rarely even take Tylenol. I try to stay off of substances just to make sure that, not that you can get addicted to Tylenol, I just think your body has a way of getting through those things. And that's just me personally. I'm not saying other people have, can't use those things.
Right.
But when you're getting prescribed something that's so addictive, like OxyContin, oxycodone, or one of those other Percocets, they really need to be controlled and managed well. When you're consuming those.
And that's been at the forefront of many of my discussions with a lot of the doctors and hospitals around town, is that they really are becoming more of a pain management education process, especially if you are having some type of a surgery and you are in pain, for sure. So that's definitely in the forefront. Now, you mentioned that Pat Bates, there was some legislature that is in the works but hasn't moved forward yet. What can our viewers do to help that move along?
Well, I think, and here's the unfortunate part of just this discussion regarding the opioid crisis. If not for COVID-19, this was the largest national issue we're facing as a nation. And it's kind of been sidelined because of COVID. I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. It's just our focus has been on getting through the COVID crisis. But this has manifested now over the last almost 2 years to become much, much worse. And I've said for years that, unfortunately, viewers will know somebody impacted by the opioid crisis, or they don't know somebody yet, because it's becoming so prolific that we're talking to families now. It's not only a question of educating them. They're not telling first-person stories of, yes, my neighbor, my son's friend, they know people now because it's becoming so prolific. And keep in mind, this is not taken into consideration the hundreds of people we've saved through our naloxone program by bringing them literally back from the dead and saving them through that. I mentioned our jails a little bit. I want to cover that because if not for COVID-19, a lot of the initiatives we have, which is another one of my main initiatives in our jails, would have been fully realized. We had to stop some of our construction projects in our jails since COVID-19 because we couldn't bring non-essential personnel into the jails because of the COVID risk. But one of the programs I'm most proud of is our medicine-assisted treatment, known as MAT. So on any given day in a normal population, I will have between 550 and 725 people on medicine-assisted treatment, which is opioid management, getting them off of opioid addiction. And our hope is to get them into obviously sobriety, and then transition them out of custody into some sustainable program to maintain that sobriety. On any given day, on a normal population, I have between 100 and 120 people in my jail who are medically supervised detox off of alcohol and or drugs on any given day. I have, we mentioned the mental health issues that we faced in the jail, and we're building out now the ability to treat them for their mental health issues. And I want to be clear, there are people that believe I incarcerate the mentally ill. There isn't anybody that comes to my jail who is not charged with a crime. I don't pick who comes to the jail. Other people bring them to me through either the court process or a warrant for a criminal violation of law. But a vast majority of them have mental health issues or substance use disorder issues or co-occurring issues. And we're trying to treat those to get them either into mental health stability or into sobriety or both, and sometimes even into housing as they're transitioning through our jail, so then when they leave, they walk into the arms of somebody who can help them maintain their success.
Some of the concerns that have been pretty much highlighted across the country is this early release or late night releases or things like that. So talk to me a little bit about what we're seeing.
Well, we don't do late night releases anymore. That happened for many years, and it just became one of the lines that if my staff tells me this, I might hit them if they're close enough, is that's the way we've always done it. And challenging them on why we did it that way really exposed some of the opportunities to pivot. And one of those is we always released after midnight because for decades we were so overcrowded that we needed every available bed. We're not overcrowded the way we were 10, 20 years ago. So when I took office, we changed and we started releasing anybody who's scheduled to be released from a sentence gets released at 8 o'clock in the morning, generally between 8 and 10. And I have the discretion by law to release in that 24-hour period. I don't intend to hold them longer than necessary. But I think it's beneficial not only for those who are entrusted to our care, but their families or service providers to be available to receive them and put them back on their feet or drive them to a program or have the program pick them up, which we have that happen routinely so that they can maintain their sobriety or whatever they need. In fact, we have even changed the point that I call this the high school guidance counselor approach, that when our inmates are coming up for release, they get interviewed by staff to find out what their needs are, and this is a progression of just the programs we have, what their needs are, where they're going, if we can provide services to them, whatever that might be, so we can try our best for those who are willing and receptive to connect them to services once they leave our jail. I think that's very, very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then one last thing on this particular subject is talk to me about the veterans. There's like a unit for veterans.
Yeah, we started that 2 years ago. I'm very proud of it. It's not, it was modeled after other counties across the nation that have a veterans program. Our jail is much larger in size as far as population than some of these other programs, but we call it Humvee. It's Housing Unit for Military Veterans. We bring them together. They're from all the different branches of the military. We put them in one unit. There's a camaraderie that takes place. We give them the same level of service as anybody else gets, but it's more focused on them particularly. And most importantly, connecting many of them to services they're entitled to but just aren't taking advantage of through the VA and other venues. So we connect them to all of those. It's been tremendously successful. The average, a normal for a career criminal or somebody who frequents the criminal justice system, the normal rate of recidivism is usually around 35%, give or take a little bit. This program specifically, we haven't had anybody, I think we had the first person come back out of the many people through there, so it's in single digits. It was at 0% recidivism for the first 2 years, but it's been tremendously successful to get people back out into the community on their feet, appreciated and valued for the service to our country, which they're entitled to. They just made some poor life choices in between, and I love the program. I visit it frequently.
That's a great one. That's awesome. All right, let's talk about some other things that have been highlighted. I swear, you turn on the TV and there's always something, right? Smash and grab and protecting our community. What do we need to know about all that?
Well, that's a difficult one because I think that there are a lot of opportunistic shoppers taking advantage of not only, I think some of the political environments that have been created, and not to make this a political session, but some of these very lenient public defenders that have refused, district attorneys that are almost acting like public defenders who are apprehensive or reluctant to prosecute some of these crimes. So it shouldn't be really alarming or surprising to see people acting out in these areas where there's a lack of accountability. I can tell you in Orange County, I'm a little unique. As I mentioned, I have capacity in my jail, so if you come to Orange County Jail, you're going to serve your sentence. We don't do early releases because of the congestion, and I think we still have a county that holds people accountable for crime.
Yeah.
I have an excellent relationship with the other 21 chiefs of police in Orange County, and we have a holistic strategy in dealing with things just like this, the smash and grabs, the organized crime. I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's my playbook, and I'm not going to let you peek, but if there is that intent to come to Orange County and commit a organized crime like we're seeing on the TV, we have a plan, and we'll have a response for those people.
Well, that's good to know, and that's why we like living here, and we like having you as our sheriff. So thank you for doing all of that. Let's talk a little bit about some of your other things that you have on here. You've got an enriched partnership. What is that?
Well, I love this. This is the part I love the most about what I get to do, and that's really building bridges with members of our community. I have several that I've started while I've been sheriff. Some existed before. My favorite is the Interfaith Council. We have relationships with all the different faith traditions in Orange County. This was started years ago by Sheriff Hutchins and myself, and I loved it because it was really, if you think about what happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd and you have this uprising, that's too late to build relationships. You have to have those relationships established long before you need to have the collaboration and work with the communities that are impacted. And rightfully so, communities like Minneapolis were impacted by that event. And it impacted everybody across the United States. So here, I was able to reach out to people whom I already have relationships with throughout the community, but particularly the Black community, through churches who have just discussions and forums and talks, and we talked it through in a way that brought them here. But I love most about this program is that we have regular meetings. In fact, we have one coming up scheduled for, I believe it's next March, and it's specific, through our faith outreach, specific to mental health. So we're going to have a mental health summit with our faith traditions through all the different churches. It's aimed at the places of worship, whether it's synagogue, temple, mosque, or whatever it might be, to be able to know how to address mental health within their congregation so they can treat that appropriately at a much lower level, really before it manifests into a violation of law. That's one of my great ones. I have a Black community council as well. I have a Latino or Latinx community council that started as well. That's been in existence for some time. But really making sure that we kept our own house in order. I have a group of employees that represent the various diverse workforce that I have. And it's everybody, Black, Latino, women, LGBTQ, and we just sit down and make sure that before we talk about how we're relating with the community at large, that we have the relations and really the values of all these groups in our organization intact first. And it's been very powerful.
That's great information. Now, of course, let's look into 2022. Obviously, you're going to carry many of these programs through, improve on them or expand them or whatever the case might be. But one thing I think you've always definitely done is, as you have here, maintain culture of integrity and professionalism. How will you carry that out next year?
Well, we always, if you think you're the ship that's arrived, that's when you become the greatest risk. So we're constantly looking at ways to innovate and become better at what we do, whether in delivery of services to the public or accountability of our employees. We've had some employees that have not met my expectations or that of the public, quite honestly, and when that happens, we hold them accountable. I think it's amazing and I'm not saying this with any sense of pride, but I have exited probably more deputies out of this profession than perhaps every other sheriff before me combined. I'd have no problem saying you're not meeting the expectations of this organization or the public, and you don't get to work here anymore, and you don't get to wear a badge and a gun. And that's what we'll always do. Here's the amazing thing about that, though. When you look at the 4,000 other members of the department, you see somebody who does something egregious, and you hold them accountable appropriately, and if necessary, exit them from employment. The rest of the employees, they actually sit up a little straighter and stand up a little taller. Because you're sending it's a value statement. This person's behavior or conduct or lack of character in what they did is not consistent with the rest of us. And if you make excuses for it and keep them employed, it's the opposite impact. You're sending a message to the rest of your work staff that this is good enough. This is the bar we're trying to reach. And that's not good enough for me. And I think that our staff, we hire great people. I'm not having any problem getting people to want to come work for the Sheriff's Department like some of my peers in this industry. We had 17,000 applications for deputy sheriff to fill about 200 positions. So I'm in a very unique position as far as recruitment and retention. I'm very proud of the work that my the people in my organization do.
Well, you are doing a great job. We appreciate you coming in and sharing
Thank
the
you.
information with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll be right back after this.
At Norm Reeves Honda Superstore Irvine, we want to buy your car. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, we come to you. On-site professional appraisals now available at your home or office. 2, you come to our dealership just minutes away for an on-the-spot appraisal. 3, value your car online at normreeveshondairvine.com. It's your choice. Plus, you get paid in 1 day or less. At Norm Reeves Honda Superstore in the Irvine Auto Center, we will buy your car.
Why do I love being a doctor at Kaiser Permanente?
My only job is to take great care of my patients. I'm empowered to do what's right for you.
Our digital records mean your medical history is in one place, so I can give you great care.
Your primary care doctor, your specialists. It's great. We all work together as one team.
Our integrated approach to healthcare helps my patients live longer, healthier lives.
I don't just practice here, I'm a patient too. I wouldn't trust my family's healthcare to anyone else.
Freedom Village Skilled Nursing offers rehabilitation after surgery with our team of on-site therapy professionals. We are proud that our quality care measures are recognized by Medicare. We support you with your recovery with a caring staff and registered nurses around the clock. Freedom Village Skilled Nursing is conveniently located near 3 hospitals, open to the public, and offers private Serenity suites. Call today to experience first-class care for your loved one.
All right, let's take a look at our weather before we head out to enjoy our Tuesday. Now, we are looking at cloudy skies for the remainder of the day. Doesn't look like we're going to have any more rain today, but you never know. Might just pop up. But let's take a look at those temperatures. We are looking at 65, 52, 64, 55, 58, 47, 60, 42, and 64, 49. And we might just get some showers on Thursday. Well, have a wonderful day. We will see you again tomorrow at 9 a.m. You can always rewatch our program at 12:30 and 5 or go to our YouTube channel, Village Television. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
What's easier than blowing out 65 candles? Choosing an Alignment Medicare health plan that's tailored specifically to you. Need access to 24/7 telehealth and concierge services? You got it. Members also receive an Alignment Health Plan Black Card with a monthly allowance and rewards for engaging with your health. At Alignment Health Plan, we don't think of these things as extras, just things you deserve. Save your wish for something that isn't healthcare related. Call or visit our website today to enroll in an Alignment Health Plan.
Hi, welcome to Pacific Financial Planners. We focus on income replacement for your retirement. We have over 3 decades of professional money management experience. We personalize a plan that's right for you and your family. You only get one shot at retirement. Don't you think you better get it right? So give us a call for your free consultation. We can do this over the phone, via Zoom, or in person.